Have you ever tried hard to be noticed by someone who didn't care? You keep showing up, hoping they'll finally see your effort. You tell yourself that if you just do a little more, they might change. But no matter what you do, their attention never lasts. You start to question yourself. You wonder what's wrong with you. You replay every moment, thinking maybe you said something wrong or weren't interesting enough. But deep down, you know the truth. You're just trying to convince someone to value what they've already chosen to overlook. It hurts, because being ignored by someone you care about feels personal. It touches that quiet fear we all carry, the fear of not being enough. So instead of walking away, you chase harder. You try to prove your worth through effort, kindness, or loyalty. And every time they pull away, you reach out again, hoping this time will be different. But it never is. And that cycle slowly wears you down. Your energy drops. Your confidence fades. You stop feeling like yourself. You become trapped in the hope that one day they'll see your value, when the truth is, you've already lost sight of it yourself. Many people fall into this pattern without realizing it. We've been taught to believe that being accepted by others means we're worthy. From a young age, we link love, attention, and approval to our sense of identity. So when someone ignores us, it doesn't just feel like rejection. It feels like a threat to who we are. But here's the thing. Chasing people who don't see your worth doesn't make them value you more. It only makes you forget that you already have value, with or without their attention. It teaches you to settle for being tolerated instead of being respected. And that's not what you deserve. The truth is, you don't need to chase anyone to prove your importance. The people meant to be in your life won't make you beg for space in theirs. They'll see your presence as something meaningful, not something to overlook. Walking away doesn't mean you've given up. It means you've finally remembered who you are. It means you've stopped searching for your worth in someone else's eyes. It means you're ready to choose peace over pressure and self-respect over uncertainty. The moment you stop chasing is the moment you start healing. Because it's not about making others see your value. It's about realizing it yourself. And when you do, you'll never have to run after anyone again. We all want to feel seen, valued, and accepted. That's natural. It's part of being human. But sometimes that need becomes a habit of chasing people who give us the least attention. It doesn't start because we enjoy being ignored. It starts because deep down, we believe that earning someone's approval will finally prove we're enough. We tell ourselves that if we can change their mind, if we can make them care, it will mean we have value. This pattern comes from something deeper than just liking someone. It comes from a hidden belief that our worth depends on how others see us. When someone pulls away, it triggers that old fear of not being good enough. So instead of stepping back, we chase harder. We mistake their distance for a challenge we have to overcome. In psychology, this behavior often reflects what happens when our inner sense of worth is unbalanced. Carl Jung explained that everyone has parts of themselves they try to hide, the pieces they think others won't accept. These hidden parts want to be seen and valued. So when we meet someone who ignores us, those hidden parts rise up and say, maybe if I can make this person see me, I'll finally feel whole. But that doesn't work. Because you can't fix an inner wound by convincing someone else to fill it. The more you chase, the more disconnected you become from yourself. You stop listening to your own needs and start living for someone else's approval. Chasing validation is like running in circles. No matter how fast you go, you end up in the same place. You try to please, you try to prove, you try to be everything someone else might want. But in that process, you lose touch with who you are. You trade your authenticity for acceptance that never really comes. The truth is, approval from others can feel good for a moment, but it doesn't last. It's like a temporary signal that says, you matter right now. But when it fades, the emptiness returns, and the chase begins again. That's why it feels endless. Real value doesn't come from being chosen. It comes from self-awareness. When you know who you are, rejection doesn't shake you the same way. You stop trying to prove your worth because you already understand it. You stop chasing because you realize that nothing real needs to be forced. Chasing approval is often a reflection of fear, the fear of being unseen, forgotten, or unimportant. But the cure isn't in chasing harder. It's in turning inward and seeing yourself clearly. When you do, the people who don't value you lose their power over you. You stop reacting to their silence, and you start responding to your own needs. That shift, from chasing others to understanding yourself, is where true confidence begins. Because once you see your own worth, you'll never again need someone else to confirm it. Every time you chase someone who doesn't value you, you pay a price. Not with money, but with your peace, your energy, and your self-respect. At first, it doesn't seem like much. You tell yourself it's just effort, it's just care, it's just you trying. But over time, that effort turns into exhaustion. You start to feel like you're always the one reaching out, always the one holding things together. And little by little, you begin to disappear in the process. When you chase people who don't see your worth, you send yourself the wrong message. You teach yourself that your value depends on someone else's attention. You teach yourself that silence from others means you need to try harder. You teach yourself that love and respect must be earned through effort instead of simply being deserved. That mindset becomes heavy. It makes you question your worth every time someone doesn't respond the way you hoped. You start to measure your value by how others treat you, and that's a dangerous way to live. Because the moment their interest fades, your confidence fades with it. Emotionally, it drains you. You might find yourself overthinking, replaying moments, analyzing every detail. You keep wondering what more you could have done, how you could have been better, what you did wrong. But the truth is, you didn't do anything wrong. You just gave too much to someone who didn't appreciate it. Mentally, it clouds your clarity. When you're busy trying to gain someone's attention, you lose focus on yourself. You stop paying attention to your goals, your peace, and your needs. You become stuck in waiting for a response, waiting for a sign, waiting for approval that may never come. And then there's the emotional toll. Every unanswered message, every ignored effort, every moment of distance starts to feel personal. You take it as proof that you're not enough, when in reality, it says more about them than about you. Not everyone you care for will have the capacity to return it, and chasing them won't change that. The cost of chasing is also the loss of balance. Healthy connection is built on mutual effort, mutual interest, and mutual respect. When you're the only one trying, it's not a connection. It's a pursuit. And that pursuit slowly turns into self-neglect. Think about how much energy it takes to keep chasing someone who doesn't care. Now imagine putting that same energy into yourself, your growth, your goals, your peace. The difference is enormous. One drains you, the other builds you. Every time you choose to chase, you trade your self-worth for temporary hope. You sacrifice your calm for someone else's attention. You forget that the most powerful person in the room is the one who doesn't need to chase anyone. The truth is simple. The more you chase, the more you lose yourself. But the moment you stop, you begin to return to who you are. You start to see that your value was never missing. It was just buried under all the effort to prove it. The cost of chasing is high, too high. It takes your peace, your time, and your confidence. And none of those are worth losing for the attention of someone who never cared to begin with. There's a quiet kind of strength that comes from knowing when to walk away. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It's calm, clear, and powerful. It's the moment you stop explaining your worth to people who never cared to understand it. Walking away doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It means you've started caring more about yourself. It means you've decided that peace matters more than proving something. That your energy deserves to be protected, not wasted. Most people think walking away is about pride. But it's not. It's about clarity. It's about finally seeing the situations for what it is, instead of what you wish it could be. It's about understanding that no amount of chasing will make someone value what they don't recognize. When you walk away, you reclaim your power. You stop waiting for someone else to give you closure, validation, or respect. You give those things to yourself. And that moment, that quiet decision, changes everything. It's not easy, because walking away often means letting go of the hope that things will change. It means accepting that sometimes effort isn't enough, that not every connection is meant to stay, and that's hard to face. But even though it's hard, it's also freeing. When you stop chasing, you stop living on someone else's terms. You stop measuring your worth by someone's attention. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into a space where you were never seen. Walking away is not about giving up. It's about growing up. It's about realizing that your peace is not something you can trade for someone's approval. It's understanding that distance doesn't always mean loss. Sometimes it means protection. It's a boundary that says, I respect myself enough to stop begging for what should be natural. When you walk away, you make space for self-respect to grow. You remind yourself that silence can be powerful, that peace can be loud in its own way. You show yourself that you don't have to chase anyone to feel worthy. Your worth was never missing. It was just waiting for you to notice it again. The power of walking away lies in the shift it creates inside you. Suddenly, your focus moves from them to you. You start thinking less about what you lost and more about what you're gaining: peace, balance, and control over your own energy. You learn that you don't need to force connection. Real respect doesn't need to be chased. Real value doesn't need to be explained. And the people who truly belong in your life will meet you where you are, not make you run after them. When you finally walk away, you don't lose. You simply stop giving energy to places where it was never returned. You trade temporary hope for lasting peace. You let go of what hurts and open space for what heals. And maybe for the first time, you realize that walking away isn't the end of something. It's the beginning of everything that's real. When you stop chasing people who don't see your value, something powerful begins to happen. You start to come back to yourself. For so long, your focus was outward. You were looking for signs, waiting for responses, trying to earn attention. Now the energy that was once scattered begins to return to you, and in that quiet space, you start to rebuild your strength. Reclaiming inner strength isn't about becoming harder or colder. It's not about pretending you don't care. It's about remembering who you are without needing anyone's approval to feel it. It's about standing still and realizing that you don't have to chase to be worthy. When you turn inward, you begin to see how much power you gave away. You see how much time you spent trying to be enough for people who never deserved your effort. And that realization hurts at first, but it's also where healing begins. Because strength doesn't come from being untouched by pain. It comes from facing it, learning from it, and choosing to rise anyway. It's the moment you tell yourself, I've been through this, and I'm still here. That's not weakness. That's resilience. You begin to set boundaries, not as walls, but as lines of respect. You start saying no to things that drain you, and yes to what gives you peace. You stop explaining your worth to people who never cared to understand it. You start showing yourself the same care you once tried to give to others. And little by little, you change. The silence that once felt lonely starts to feel peaceful. The space that once felt empty begins to fill with self-respect. You start enjoying your own company again. You start trusting your judgment. You start realizing that you are your own safe place. Carl Jung spoke about becoming whole, about integrating every part of yourself. That's what reclaiming inner strength is. It's accepting every part of you, the parts that were rejected, ignored, or hidden. It's saying, I'm not waiting for someone else to see me anymore. I see myself now. And when you do that, something shifts deep inside you. You stop needing constant reassurance. You stop settling for half-hearted attention. You stop bending just to be noticed. You become grounded, steady, certain of your value. Your strength doesn't come from others noticing your worth. It comes from knowing it even when no one else does. It's quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything. It's the understanding that walking away was never about losing someone. It was about finding yourself again. When you reclaim your inner strength, you start living differently. You make decisions from peace, not from fear. You connect from honesty, not from need. You love from fullness, not from emptiness. That's what it means to be whole. To know that even if no one claps, you still have worth. To understand that your value doesn't increase when someone stays, and it doesn't decrease when they leave. Reclaiming your inner strength is not a single moment. It's a process. It's choosing yourself again and again, even when it feels uncomfortable. It's trusting that the peace that comes from self-respect is worth more than the comfort of being liked. And once you taste that peace, you'll never chase anything less again. When you stop chasing people who don't see your value, you open the door to something new. A life built on confidence, not on approval. At first it feels unfamiliar. You're used to proving, explaining, and trying. Now you're learning how to simply be. You start realizing that you don't need to chase connection. The right ones will meet you where you stand. Moving forward with confidence doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt again. It means you'll stop letting doubt control you. It means that even when uncertainty shows up, you'll stand firm in who you are. Because confidence isn't about never falling. It's about trusting that you can rise again. You begin to see your time and energy differently. You no longer spend them trying to convince others of your worth. Instead, you invest them in your growth, your goals, and your peace. You start to ask better questions. What makes me feel alive? What do I want to create? What kind of life do I want to build? The more you focus on those questions, the less you care about who notices. Because confidence grows quietly, not from being seen, but from knowing you're doing what's right for you. You start to make choices based on self-respect, not fear of rejection. You begin to set boundaries that protect your calm. You become comfortable walking away from what doesn't feel right, not out of anger, but out of clarity. You stop apologizing for taking up space, for speaking up, for being yourself. This is what real strength looks like. You stop chasing attention and start building direction. You stop running after people and start running toward purpose. You stop needing validation and start giving yourself permission to grow. Confidence isn't loud, It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's quiet. It's steady. It's the kind of peace that comes when you finally stop fighting to be seen and start focusing on living fully. When you move forward with confidence, you attract differently. You attract people who respect boundaries. You attract opportunities that match your effort. You attract peace because you've learned to protect it. And even when someone doesn't value you, you no longer take it personally. You simply recognize it, wish them well, and keep moving. Because you've learned that not everyone will understand your worth, and that's okay. The ones who do won't need to be convinced. You start to realize that walking away was never about losing anyone. It was about finding balance, strength, and self-trust. And now, you carry those things with you wherever you go. Every step forward becomes an act of confidence. Every quiet moment of peace becomes proof that you've grown. Every time you choose yourself, you reinforce your worth. You no longer live for attention, you live with intention. You no longer chase people, you chase growth. You no longer wait to be chosen, you choose yourself again and again. That's what confidence truly is. It's not arrogance. It's not indifference. It's simply knowing that you don't have to run after anyone to live a full and meaningful life. You've done the hard part. You stopped chasing what was never meant to stay. Now it's time to walk forward with calm, strength, and certainty. Because the person who walks away with self-respect always moves closer to peace. Stop chasing people who ignore your value. Stop explaining yourself to those who don't listen. Stop showing up for people who never meet you halfway. You've already done enough. You've already given enough. And you deserve more than being someone's afterthought. Walking away isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the understanding that not everyone is meant to go with you where you're headed. It's knowing that silence can be stronger than words, and distance can be more powerful than effort that goes unnoticed. There's peace in stepping back. There's strength in letting go. And there's freedom in choosing yourself without apology. You don't need to chase love, attention, or approval. The right people will recognize your worth without needing reminders. They will value your presence without testing your patience. They will make space for you, not excuses. But even before they do, remember this: you are enough, even if no one says it. You are worthy, even if no one sees it. Your value doesn't disappear just because someone else failed to notice it. When you walk away from people who overlook you, you walk toward people and places that will never make you question your worth again. You walk toward peace, growth, and self-respect. You walk toward a life where your energy is not wasted, but shared. So let them go. Let go of the need to prove, to please, to be picked. You are not here to chase. You are here to grow, to rise, to become whole. And the more you stand in that truth, the more everything around you begins to change. Because when you know your worth, the world starts to reflect it back to you. One day you'll look back and realize that walking away was the best decision you ever made. Not because you lost something, but because you finally found yourself.